Yellowknife is the coldest city in Canada overall. Dips below -40. Usually in the wintertime we're high minus 28s to about -34s is what we have to deal with. Yellowknife is the end of the road. North of Yellowknife, most times of the year, everything has to be flown into all these communities, and Buffalo Airways, along with other carriers in Yellowknife, are the lifeblood of these communities. And that's why aviation is so big in Yellowknife.
We're definitely a community-oriented company. We're well known, that's for sure.
A big question I always get is why these airplanes? Why the DC-3s? Why the C-46s? Because these airplanes are not very used anywhere else in the world. My father is the owner and president of Buffalo Airways and founder. He still flies daily, and he's flying in an aircraft that was in D-Day, not an aircraft that's like what was on D-Day. It was D-Day. It flew and dropped paratroopers off that day, and it really hasn't stopped. So these things were overbuilt. So they're actually designed for the conditions that we're flying in today. Unprepared airstrips, crazy weather, ugly cargo. Yellowknife really is like a time machine. So these aircraft, these vintage aircraft are amazing, they're awesome, but a lot of times they're a little bit tougher to maintain than the newer airplanes. That's why it takes an amazing mechanical staff to keep these airplanes going.
I've always been around airplanes pretty well all my life. My dad was an engineer too. Yeah, that's how I got into it. My dad got me into it. It is hard to maintain these aircraft in these harsh conditions. It gets very cold, the oil gets twice as thick. It's really, I try not to think of it, if you want the truth.
You can have the best pilots in the world, you can have the best airplanes in the world, but if you don't have the fuel in the aircraft, nothing happens. So the day actually starts with Shell. And the fueling of the airplane is the essential. It's the lifeblood of the whole system.
We have 3 jet trucks and 1 avgas truck. And those meet most of our needs. We do our best, absolute best, to make sure that we're fueling them when they call.
Shell provides in their whole product stream everything, because we're not dealing with nice weather, we're dealing with the harshest climates that are tested year after year, decade after decade. And these products are what keep the airplanes moving. If there was no Shell products in the airplane, it would just freeze up and it would just be a statue.
See, we've tried a lot of other brands of oil and stuff like that. And we keep going back to Shell, because that's basically the only thing that will run in these vintage aircraft is Shell oil. These engines just go through oil, that's their nature. A lot of their grease, wheel bearing grease, their Shell 5 and all that, we always use Shell for all that stuff. There's
been incidences where avgas, which is the fuel that runs these warbirds, runs out. They have refinery problems, which happens. And now Shell, like the head office will phone us and tell us that, hey, there's going to be a problem, and they actually get B trains out of the United States and bring them up here so we can keep on going. And this is vital. So Shell has on numerous occasions gone out of their way and physically brought trucks out of the US to our back door to provide us with fuel so we can keep on working. Buffalo and Shell are working together. As we're moving into modern aircraft, we're starting to burn jet fuel with our Lockheed Electra, and that is the next step. As these airplanes are getting lesser and less relevant, the bigger aircraft that can go higher, faster, and longer with the help of Shell fuel is the future of what we're looking at for helping the communities up north. Having a partner like Shell is mandatory to be able to operate in the conditions that we do.
Shell is a higher quality product. Shell's aviation, man.